Hello everybody, sorry for being 20 minutes late. There was a lot to do and there's a lot going on. So, we made it! It is the day after Christmas Day, and it has a strange name in different parts of the world. Some people call it Boxing Day. I don't quite know why it's called Boxing Day, but anyway, let's jump in. And we have a lot of stuff to cover, despite the fact many news outlets, etc. are closed. Stock markets are open. Happy Tuesday. Crypto market cap 1.67 trillion. Volume to 75 billion, which is unbelievable. The volume in crypto on Christmas Day was $75 billion. Bitcoin did take a bit of a dip. Everybody's as usual freaking out. But it's a buying opportunity. And I missed one thing I didn't want to buy today by $2. Ooh, guess what that is. Anyway, and then Bitcoin dominance is down below 50%. Woohoo, exciting. Ethereum 2200 and Fear and Greed. What was Fear and Greed again? 71. So let's jump in and thank you all. This is just edutainment, never financial advice. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to get smarter. I won't waste your time, but you will learn lots of stuff. So happy Boxing Day as well to people, I think, Commonwealth countries, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand. Hello, happy Boxing Day. South Africa too, maybe. I'm not even sure. But let's jump into the good news. And I see we have people here from all over the world. And sorry for keeping you late. Let's go. Let's talk about the good news first. First of all, crypto stats for the week compared to 9 weeks ago when I started doing this. The market cap is up nearly $350 billion more. Everything is going up. Now, what is unusual is active addresses are down because it was Christmas. People didn't do a lot on Christmas. Despite the volume was high, people weren't that active on chain. So that is down from 9 weeks ago. And transactions up to 46 million from 40 million 9 weeks ago as well. So things were mixed. So two of them were up, one down, which is okay. Sometimes that happens. Fear and Greed is up to 73, not 71. I got that wrong. No, it is 71. Title is wrong. Title says 73. It is 71. And it was a big rush today because there was a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, Bitcoin halving clock, T minus 112 days. It's getting so close, and 100 days goes so fast. So this is going to be exciting. I got to make sure everything is working here. Yeah, testing 1, 2, 3. Good. We got sound, which is always amazing. I forgot to check that. And the crypto market cap over the last 7 days, you know, these tiny little undulations in the market rattle people so much. It's incredible. But those who are veterans, they've got their seatbelts on and they like the bumps, and the bumps are a good time to actually stack. So a lot of people did some stacking today, in fact. So dominance, 49%. You can see here that one name smashed Bitcoin by 50% this week, and that was Solana. Huge move. Binance also up, Matic, Polkadot, Uniswap, Near, Aptos, Optimism. I'll talk a bit more about Near and Optimism later in the show too. And Polkadot is up after not having a very good year, but everything eventually bounces. Remember that in crypto, but don't get too excited because sometimes they mean revert too as well. Let's look at the last week in terms of cash terms. Bitcoin fell 0.57%, but again, Solana bumper week, Binance bumper week. A lot of people believe Binance is trying to get back above Solana, and remember, nearly 85% of all Binance tokens are held by insiders, so be careful of that as well. In addition, what else? Ethereum up 0.5%, so Ethereum actually beat Bitcoin this week, and the rest is history. So that's kind of what happened. Let's now talk about the news so far this December. You know, we had a couple of really good months, but you can see this December we're only up 11.8% so far. Not too dramatic, but there's still a few days left in the year. But this is a record-breaking year in so many different perspectives. So first of all, I'm going to share this little chart, which we were chatting about today earlier, the rainbow chart, which is from the blockchaincenter.net. You can pull it yourselves. And what's interesting about this, it looks at the actual plot of the price of Bitcoin over different time periods, different cycles. It's a very nice visual. You can see when it's dark blue, that's the time to stack. And over time, what I did was I mapped out where I believe the top of the bull market could potentially end, and that is right before the end of June 2025, but considering everything is happening faster, it could even be faster than that. But if this rainbow chart is correct, and if we hit the same levels we hit in the past, maybe not so high, that could take the Bitcoin price conservatively between $168,000 and $283,000, which is insane to even think of. If we did hit the tops that we hit in the first halving and the second halving, the price could go as high as $382,000. I know it's crazy. I know it's a rainbow chart, but this thing has been holding up pretty well over time. So who knows? Either way, my target's still about 129K for this run. But considering hardness, and tomorrow I'm doing a video actually on the impact of all the brokerage firms coming online and having access to the ETF and what that would mean for Bitcoin price if every account invested $5,000 into Bitcoin. Now, the average size of some of these accounts is colossal, so $5,000 is very little for many of them. But anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So that is that. Also, massive bets. I like to look at the options now going at 6 months exactly to June 28th, 2024. Look at all those big bets at 58,000, 60,000, 62,000, 64,000, 66,000, 68,000, 85,000, 110,000. I mean, a lot of people are placing big bets on Deribit for Bitcoin 6 months from now. So they're normally pretty right. I remember doing this in summer 2023, and there was tons of bets for 42 to 45K. And I said, these folks are normally correct. And they were bang on. We hit that 45K on the nose. So whoever is placing these bets, they're pretty good. So could we go back to, I don't know, June, 60,000 to 85,000, 100,000? It depends. But for the first time ever, Bitcoin's getting a marketing department. And the 12 spot ETFs will be advertising Bitcoin on your behalf. And you front run Wall Street. So well done. Also, whales are making Bitcoin even harder. It's just a couple little whale alerts from a few minutes ago. Large amounts being pulled directly from Coinbase to unknown wallets. It's good when things come off exchanges. Again, just a couple of thousand Bitcoin, but this happens all the time. So it's good to monitor and keep an eye on. Also, people are worried. Sometimes people need to do a little bit of selling to be able to pay for the holidays and stuff like that. And also considering 90% of Bitcoin holders are in profit, you can see the short-term holders did sell. And that took us down to the level of, let me check the exact dollar amount that we hit, where we are now. I think we went down to, I was hoping to get a little bit under 42K myself. That didn't happen. Let me just pull up the exact price right now. Real quick, Bitcoin hit 41.7, and the day range up to 43.762. But remember, it rebounds fast. It wouldn't surprise me if we were back at 44K or very close to it within 24 hours. But that's what happened. Sometimes people do need to sell a little bit to take a little bit of profit, especially when you read the sentiment out there on Twitter. Oh, it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type event. It's going to be a nothing burger, or it's not going to happen, and there's no way Gensler will let it happen. It's happening. We're 95% sure of that as well. In addition, transactions on the Bitcoin network are through the roof. They are near all-time highs and keep getting stronger. And this is extremely good for the miners. This is from the block data and transactions on the network, 7-day moving average. You can see smoking along. And it's early. It's extremely early still in this actual bull market. Wait till post-halving. We'll see a lot more activity there as well. Now, speaking of other records that have been broken, Solana breaks records too. Solana sets a record for monthly new and active addresses amid a crazy price rally. I've been talking about this for a long time, what I call the black hole. And let's dig into exactly what happened. So this is the records of the number of active addresses on the Solana network on a monthly basis. And they had a 100% increase in value compared to last month, coinciding with the network achieving new records. Now, people always say, oh, well, the number of daily active users and everything else doesn't matter. Yes, it does. So does money flow. So does developers. These are the three main things that I look at because they determine price. This shows that adoption drives price action, and the surge in Solana's price to over 100, and the Christmas Day was completely bonkers. But especially following what happened kind of 13 months ago with FTX, etc., it has gotten everybody's attention. Remember, we had the chance to buy at 8, a little bit below, and now it's at nearly 130 the other day. Yesterday, I think, Christmas Day. But data from the block reveals that the Solana network has surpassed records for monthly new and active addresses. And again, very, very few chains can handle this. And it grew 50% to over 15.6 million monthly active addresses. There are very few, if any, chains that can actually handle that type of traffic. That is the Black Hole Sun, as I've monikered. It's good to see it being used all around the place now as well. Now, speaking of addresses and adoption, this is money flow, and we had a nice rebound. Considering it was Christmas week, it was quiet. There was a nice big pump in action. 103 million flowed in to assets, digital funds. And when you break it down, you can see here again, like usual, Solana's up another 6 million. That's versus 7.9 million for Ethereum. People say, oh, that's not bad for Ethereum. But remember, Ethereum has literally 10 billion in assets under management. Solana started the year with 150 million. Now it's at 750 million. So it's just grown every single week, pretty much all year. And it's good to see that the money is still flowing in there. And we're seeing that as well in some other assets, which we'll talk about in a minute too. Now, let's talk about AltSeason. It did skyrocket to 67, and that is also very unusual. And that is also reflected in the Bitcoin dominance being under 50% too. Let's look at the action versus Bitcoin the last 90 days. There's a new thing called ORDI, up over 1,000%. Number 2 over the last 90 days is Solana, up 438%. Number 3 is Injective, up 410%. Number 4 is Avalanche, and then Immutable X, Near, Stacks, Render, etc. The ones with gray arrows are ones that I own. Bitcoin has been a laggard compared to the other 2/3. That's why the chart is at that 67% level, because 67% of the top 50 have actually beaten Bitcoin. Some by very large amounts. They should actually redo this chart and have it on a ratio basis to show you how much the other assets are beating. Let's look at another view from the compendium. This is the top 50 performers over the last 30 and 90 days. And you can see it's a little bit different on our data, because sometimes things can fly into the top 50 and then fly out again very quickly. But this is more the steady pace. And Near wins the week, up nearly 80%. Solana number 2, Optimism number 3. And then for the last 90 days, Near, Injective, and Tia, which is Celestia, also really, really good. Let's talk about the stock market real fast. The last 7 days, again, it's Christmas week. It's kind of quiet. But Meta did go up 3%, Google up 4%, Tesla up 2%, Nvidia down 1.59%, Microsoft up 0.5%. Not that much happening all across the board. We didn't get that big blow off top, but there is stuff happening. We still have a few days left before the new year, and that is the window dressing and the stuff I covered of how assets need to be purchased, and there is money flow coming in too. Let's look at Bitcoin Nasdaq correlation over the last, again, 90 days. Bitcoin's up nearly 60%, Nasdaq up 13%. As Nasdaq is catching up, at the beginning to move back in sync again, which hasn't happened for quite some time. They were basically, Nasdaq was flat, Bitcoin was going up. Now Nasdaq is recovering, big tech is coming back. Grayscale discounts as well. This is stunning. GBTC down to 6.27% discount, and that is quite remarkable. And that shows you that this thing can sniff out the fact that the spot ETF is in the air. That's why the discount is nearly gone. And when that happens, people start rotating that stuff. Okay, so maybe after certain things happen, depending on exactly how the spot ETF pans out, this may even go a bit higher again. And the ETH one is down near 10%. And that's been fun too. Only, I think it was 4 months ago, that was at 55%. Now it's at 10%. That's the Ethereum trust from Grayscale. Now, this is another proxy which has had a huge move. Absolutely insane. It went from $40 to $200 in a couple of weeks. And I did say over the Christmas period on Twitter, that it would hit 200. I was wrong. We missed by a penny. It hit 199.99 today. And that is kind of a psychological barrier. Therefore, you always place your limits under the big numbers for obvious reasons. But it was darn close and interesting to see. Again, people with retirement accounts are looking for ways to get access to things like Solana because it's become the consensus trade. And by the way, everything we do, every slide is written by a team within the community. Shout out to the team that's behind this father and son duo that are actually stacking Tesla too. So it's about 10 cents a day per Substack, not even 12 cents because I write a lot as well on the side too. Also, this is interesting. Wall Street are waking up to what Tesla is. Morgan Stanley came out today and said Tesla is both a car and an AI company and remains very bullish for 2024. For years, Wall Street have been calling Tesla a car company. Now they're beginning to wake up. And you know what's going to happen next? Is all the other analysts are going to say, uh-oh, we better follow Morgan Stanley because they'll say it's an AI company. And I've always said it's the biggest AI company in the world. And I'm not the only one to say that too. Many other people in the know do say that. Now, what's also interesting, what else breaks records 100% of the time? And that is Q4 results for Tesla. Now, if you look at this beautiful little chart here from Tesla Economist, I think, put this together. You can see here the seasonality. And I've been talking a lot about seasonality as well. I spoke about it before. I was on Herbert Ong's channel. But this is over the last 13 years. There is a 100% chance the Tesla price will go up in week 53. Okay, that's the first week in January, by the way. Not the last week of this year. Because Tesla always beats. Always beats. And we already know that as well. Because China numbers are through the roof. So pretty much they're going to make 1.8 million cars this year. 1.8 million cars is on the cards, excuse the pun. But this is the China number in yellow, the line 2023 so far. And we have a week left. And the green is 2022. And things are looking good. And they don't actually count the number of cars sold, but they can count the number of cars that are insured. So the number of cars sold is normally higher than this too. So extremely good news as well. In addition, this is also why I do this and why I make videos every single day, because I want retail to get ahead of Wall Street. And this is fantastic. This chart here shows you that Tesla is set to overtake the SPDR S&P 500 ETF Trust in 2023 for net inflows. That means individual retail investors now put more money into Tesla than they do into the S&P 500 index. It's crazy. This reminds me of Apple when the iPod came out. People that first got iPods, they say, oh, this is cool. This is before the iPhone and everything else. And they bought Apple. They bought Apple stock. The institutions had no clue. And they arrived to the party late. The same thing is happening now. Retail knows Tesla's an AI company. Many of the retail investors actually bought Teslas, so they know exactly how different they are from other cars. And they are robots on wheels, which is pretty cool. But this is from Vanda Research, and it shows the popularity among individual retail investors, and it's grown massively. This is like a 6x, I think, since what it was in 2019. And also it's overtaken Apple as a darling of retail investors. And retail will smoke institutions more than, which is just wonderful, because it's all about getting in early, getting in hard. So congrats to everybody out there. And sorry for the crypto bros about making so much Tesla content, but I'll prove to you in a minute how you can make a lot more money on stocks than crypto in a second. Also, Elon, the most hated man, does the most for the planet, about 100x more than any other human on the planet, for sure. But anyway, his XAI, which is the artificial intelligence startup, I think they're headquartered in Nevada, and it is a for-profit corporation, but they are going to prioritize having a positive impact on society over obligations to shareholders. And the structure is similar to that of other companies, like the way OpenAI was. OpenAI was a non-profit. Now it's closed and it's for-profit. And Anthropic, I'm not sure exactly where Anthropic are on this scale, but that is good, where the benefit will align to bringing a positive impact to the planet, bringing truth to the planet as well. So that's very exciting. In addition, as an example of how stocks are important, this is what can happen in 5 days when you swap your Ethereum for CIFR, which is a mining company, and you can make 50% in 5 days, which is absolutely stunning. Like, to make that type of return on Ethereum, you would have to wait for many months, and in some cases longer as well. And CIFR was highlighted in my most recent miner review last Friday as well. In addition, speaking of money and money flows, there is 5 trillion of cash on the sidelines. And guess what? Shout out to Sanjay, who sent me this as well right before I put this out. The money on the sidelines is beginning to flow into the S&P 500. This same thing that I talked about up here, which means it'll also flow into Tesla, a lot more of it. But the S&P has drawn in about 40 billion of inflows in December, and on track to be the biggest monthly haul since it began trading in 1993. 40 billion is a lot of money into the index, which is cool. And when you put money into the index, what do you put it into? I created this little chart as well, which I thought would be interesting, so you know where your money goes. So the blue is Apple, but if you throw $100 into an index fund for the S&P 500, $7.20 goes to Apple. $7 goes to Microsoft. $3.60 goes to Google. $3.50 goes to Amazon. $3 goes to Nvidia. $2 goes to Meta, and $1.70 goes to Tesla. The other 493 companies split $70. So it's staggering to think, but it's all about the drivers, the Magnificent Seven. And when people say, "Oh, that's all going to change in the rate of steam," they haven't even begun to move yet. Not at all. And there's one name in that pie chart that's still very far away from all-time highs, and that's called Tesla. So lots of upside in 2024 for sure, because a lot's coming. Now, in addition, I've been promising you 100 trillion in global liquidity, which will be a new all-time record. Well, guess what? As of November 1st, there was 94 billion, or 94 trillion in global liquidity. It's added nearly 3.5% in just 7 weeks. And now the amount is 97.231 trillion. So we are only, call it 250 billion amongst friends here, against away from 100 trillion in global liquidity, which will also drive all the markets up. That's why we watch it. So I reckon we'll probably hit 100 trillion in the next 6 to 8 weeks. And you'll see it here live. So don't forget to subscribe. In addition, the SEC has an amazing track record of getting crushed. These are all the cases against the SEC, or the cases that the SEC has lost. November 23, they lost the debt case. It was rebuked. Ripple case in October. The Grayscale case in August. Remember, Grayscale has a big filing for a spot ETF. Again, another Ripple case in July, another loss. And Binance, a setback. But again, that was a motion for a restraining order that was rebuffed. But that is, they're figuring something out on Binance. And Binance probably did some nefarious activities, and that'll all be settled. And also, a quick shout out, sorry about that. There's a lot of complaints over Christmas because Patreon was completely sold out, and I mentioned it a week ago. But anyway, we did open a couple more seats if anybody does want to join, and it does sell out in the bull market. That's what always happens. So there's a lot of people up in arms, and one of the issues is you can actually pledge to Patreon, but you don't actually get a seat. So watch that too. Anyway, the customer service team will be in touch with you. Bad news. There is a little bit of bad news. First of all, India, for the team out there. The Indian Central Bank says there is no upside to legalizing crypto. Are you kidding me? The upside this year has been mind-melting. Anyway, the central bank from India, I can't remember what they're called, but they were saying it's better and safer to adopt central bank digital currencies, and it's also much more stable. And that is the launch of the digital rupee by the RBI marks a significant step towards embracing digital innovation in the financial sector, and of course, control. But they won't tell you that. But at least they're pretty blunt in saying central bank digital currencies are safer for you. We're looking out for you, Mr. and Mrs. whatever over there in India. And that's just terrible. And these are coming. These CBDCs are coming. Be prepared. Do not, if you can, do not opt into them, because they are going to not be good for your future. Now, in the ugly news, and the shut up and take my money, last week was the first week we didn't have huge unlocks. This week we do. This is kind of a list of the top money grabs for the week. Yield Guild Games been leaking tokens all over you for a long time. They're going to dump another 5.3% of the total supply on you. Ajax, also X2Y2, or is it XZYZ? I don't even know. Optimism and Sui will continue to rain down tokens for as far as the eye can see, despite people being very optimistic and optimism. With that type of token dumpage, I don't see it happening. Anyway, DYDX is there too. GMT, ACA, and Torn. A bit torn about Torn. Only kidding, never heard of Torn. But if you hold any of these things, be prepared for some dumpage. And final piece of record-breaking news. This is not good record-breaking news, but it's yet another record broken. U.S. debt hits $33.9 trillion, a new all-time high. Non-stop records. $34 trillion in January. Easy. Remember, as global liquidity goes up, okay, which floats all boats, so does debt. And that is the story today. Lots of records broken. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to the moderators in the chat and everybody else. And I'll see you all tomorrow with that interesting video about what would happen to the Bitcoin price if I analyze the total amount of brokerage accounts on the planet, and if they only made a tiny allocation, what would the prices of Bitcoin do? I'm going to run the numbers tonight and tomorrow and share them with you. That'll be a fun one, and it'll be crazy. And again, the reason Bitcoin is so amazing is it's so hard, and they can't create more of it, unlike this debt they can create more of the whole time. That's why be in hard assets. Thank you everybody for coming. See you all tomorrow. Bye bye.